Throughout the evolution of women's wrestling in WWE, we have seen championships come and go. We saw women's wrestling in the 90s change into the Divas division, and then transformed back into the women's division in 2016. In recent years we have seen WWE transform their female talent from eye candy that participated in bra and panties matches to top wrestlers capable of main eventing WrestleMania. Despite what era it was, there was always a female superstar holding the top championship in the company, as they were basically seen as the face of the division. In this video, we rank the top 9 WWE female superstars with the most championship reigns. It would be top 10, but Lita, Michelle McCool, Beth Phoenix, and Mae Young would all hold 10th place. In some situations in this ranking, we have put superstars higher based on having tag title reigns. These are the title reigns as of February 2022, so if Charlotte has 10 more reigns by the time you watch this, do not blame us. It will be clearer as you watch the video, as this list ranks the WWE female superstars with the most solo championship reigns in WWE. In 9th place is Bayley with 4 solo championship reigns in WWE. Bayley is a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion, 1-time Raw Women's Champion, and a 1-time NXT Champion. Bayley first won gold in WWE after defeating her best friend Sasha Banks for the NXT Championship in August of 2015 at NXT TakeOver. In a match which is regarded as one of the best women's wrestling matches in history. Bayley's first main roster championship win happened 6 months after her main roster debut, as she won the Raw Women's Championship in February 2017 after defeating Charlotte Flair after some assistance from Sasha Banks. 2 years later in 2019, after winning Money in the Bank, Bayley decided to cash in the briefcase on the very same night as she yet again defeated Charlotte to win a championship. This time it was the SmackDown Women's title Bayley had won. 5 days after losing her championship, Bayley decided to enter the arena by showing her new look and attitude. Following this, Bayley defeated Charlotte to win back her SmackDown Women's Championship, which she would hold for 380 days. Bayley is also a 2-time tag champion with Sasha Banks, which is why we have included her on this list over some other female stars with 4 solo championship reigns. In 8th place is Asuka with 4 solo championship reigns in WWE. Asuka is a 2-time Raw Women's Champion, 1-time SmackDown Women's Champion, and a 1-time NXT Champion. Asuka also is a 2-time tag champion with Kairi Sane and Charlotte. Asuka's NXT run was the most successful run in the history of NXT, as she remained undefeated during her entire time on the brand. During the WrestleMania TakeOver in Dallas in 2016, Asuka defeated Bayley to win the NXT Championship. Asuka vacated the NXT title after defeating the entire roster and holding the championship for 523 days. After moving to the main roster in 2017 and winning the 2018 Royal Rumble, Asuka waited until the end of 2018 to win her first main roster title, as she won the SmackDown Women's Championship in a TLC match against Becky and Charlotte. In 2020, Asuka won the Money in the Bank and was rewarded the Raw Women's title by Becky Lynch the following night. At the 2020 SummerSlam, Asuka won back the Raw Women's title from Sasha Banks after dropping the title to Sasha a month previous. A fun fact about Asuka: in every match she has won a solo title, it has featured a different member of the 4 Horsewomen. First was Bayley, second was both Charlotte and Becky, third she was gifted the title, and fourth was Sasha Banks. In 7th place is Melina with 5 solo championship reigns in WWE. Melina is a 3-time Women's Champion and 2-time Divas Champion. Melina, possibly best known for her splits entrance, debuted as a manager with Eminem in 2005. 2 years later, after moving to Raw, Melina won her first Women's Championship by defeating Mickie James on a February 2007 episode of Raw. After accidentally losing her title in Paris during a house show to Mickie James, the match was restarted and Melina won her Women's Championship back. This is a recognized title reign by WWE. Melina would have to wait another 2 years to have another Women's Championship reign, as she defeated Beth Phoenix for the Women's title at the 2009 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Melina won her first Divas Championship on an October 2009 episode of Raw from Jillian Hall after getting drafted back to Raw. Melina's final Divas Championship reign began at SummerSlam 2010 in a match someone actually considered the greatest match ever. This was a match between Melina and Alicia Fox. Melina made a surprise appearance as number 2 in the Royal Rumble and created a moment with Sasha Banks. It will be interesting to see if WWE would consider giving her one last run. Alexa Bliss holds 6th place on our list with 5 solo championship reigns. Alexa Bliss is a 3-time Raw Women's Champion and a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion, as well as being a 2-time tag champion with Nikki Cross. Despite having one of the best female characters, Alexa never got an opportunity to win the NXT title. After being called up to the main roster in summer of 2016, it took Alexa 6 months to win her first championship, as she won the SmackDown Women's title by defeating Becky Lynch in a tables match at the 2016 TLC pay-per-view. After being defeated 2 months later in February 2017 at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view by Naomi. Alexa won the title back 2 days later on SmackDown, defeating Becky Lynch after Naomi had to vacate the title due to injury. After losing her title at WrestleMania 33 and being drafted to Raw at the beginning of April 2017, Alexa ended the month as Raw Women's Champion after defeating Bayley in her hometown at the Payback pay-per-view. Alexa lost her championship to Sasha Banks at SummerSlam 2017, but would regain the Raw Women's title 8 days later in the main event of Raw after defeating Sasha Banks. Alexa Bliss won the Money in the Bank match in 2018 and decided to cash in her briefcase 1 hour later on Nia Jax to win her third Raw Women's Championship. Based on these reigns, Alexa Bliss is one of the few superstars that had a better main roster run than they did on NXT. We are sure a 6th title reign is not far away for Little Miss Bliss. 5th on our list is Becky Lynch with 6 title reigns. Becky is a 4-time SmackDown Women's Champion and a 2-time Raw Women's Champion, which she currently holds as of recording. Despite being in the 4 Horsewomen, Becky never had a championship reign in NXT. She had to wait 15 months into her main roster run to win her first championship. Becky was drafted to SmackDown in July 2016 with the goal being to make her the female face of the brand. This became the case as Backlash 2016 as Becky became the first SmackDown Women's Champion. Becky had to wait 2 more years for her next title run as she defeated Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in 2018. At WrestleMania 35, the main event featured women for the first time ever as Becky Lynch won both the Raw and SmackDown Women's titles by defeating Charlotte and Ronda Rousey in the biggest match of her career. At SummerSlam 2021, Becky made her return after leaving to have a child by defeating Bianca Belair to win the SmackDown Women's Championship in 26 seconds. In a rather embarrassing segment that we do not want to go into detail in. In October 2021 on SmackDown, Becky swapped her SmackDown title for the Raw title with Charlotte, which WWE recognizes as another title reign. As of February 2022, Becky has held a championship on every show she has been on since WrestleMania 35. 4th on our list is Mickie James. Mickie is 5-time Women's Champion and a 1-time Divas Champion. If WWE begins to recognize her 4 Impact title reigns, then she would have 10 reigns. However, we are focused on WWE titles. Mickie James debuted in WWE in 2005 and entered one of the greatest women's storylines in WWE history with Trish Stratus. After a 6-month feud, Mickie James defeated Trish at WrestleMania 22 for the women's title. Mickie James' second women's title reign began after she beat Lita in her retirement match at Survivor Series 2006. In a match which was seen as a passing of the torch from Lita and Trish as the faces of the division to Mickie James. As stated earlier in the Melina section, Mickie James accidentally won the women's title in a 2007 house show in Paris, but quickly dropped it back to Melina. In an upset win, Mickie James defeated Beth Phoenix on an April 2018 episode of Raw to win her 3rd women's title. Mickie James defeated Maryse to win her 4th women's title at the 2009 Night of Champions pay-per-view. Mickie's first Divas title reign began after she defeated Michelle McCool in Quick Match at the 2010 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Mickie James is one of the all-time greats. She is still showing that in Impact Wrestling, and even got invited back to the Royal Rumble match last month. In 3rd place is Trish Stratus. Trish is a 7-time Women's Champion. There were no other women's titles during Trish's era, however she had won the Hardcore title and Babe of the Year, if that means anything. On a serious note, Trish is considered possibly the greatest diva ever. After signs that she was quickly improving, Trish won her first women's title at the 2001 Survivor Series pay-per-view, defeating 5 other women. Trish won her second title in a mixed tag match with Bubba Dudley in her hometown of Toronto, as she defeated Jazz and Steven Richards in a hardcore match on Raw in May 2002. Trish defeated Molly Holly at Unforgiven 2002 to win her 3rd title, and would then defeat Jazz and Victoria at WrestleMania 19 to win her 4th title. After turning heel 3 months earlier, Trish won her 4th title in a fatal 4-way match against Lita, Gail Kim, and Victoria at the 2004 Bad Blood pay-per-view. Trish won her 6th title against Lita at New Year's Resolution 2006. In her full-time retirement match, Trish won her final women's title by defeating Lita at the 2006 Unforgiven pay-per-view in her hometown of Toronto. Trish without a doubt was the full package for everything WWE wanted in a female superstar, and now she is regarded as one of the greatest. 2nd place is the boss Sasha Banks. Sasha is a 7-time Women's Champion. As Sasha has held the Raw Women's title 5 times, SmackDown Women's title once, and the NXT Women's title once. She is also a 2-time tag champ with Bayley. Sasha Banks' first taste of gold happened in February 2015 after winning the only 4 Horsewomen fatal 4-way match to win the NXT Women's title at NXT TakeOver. Sasha's first main roster title was the Raw Women's title after defeating Charlotte on an episode of Raw 2016 for the Raw Women's title. After dropping the title, Sasha won the title back off Charlotte in the Raw main event in October 2016. After dropping the title yet again, Sasha Banks won the Raw Women's title for the third time in this feud by defeating Charlotte in a Falls Count Anywhere match in the main event of a November 2016 episode of Raw. After defeating Charlotte for her first 4 titles, Sasha found a new opponent to defeat for the Raw Women's title, and her name is Alexa Bliss. After making Alexa tap out at SummerSlam 2017, Sasha Banks had to wait 3 more years for her next title after she defeated Asuka to win the Raw Women's title on a 2020 July edition of Raw. Sasha's 7th title run was her most recent and possibly most successful after defeating Bayley inside Hell in a Cell 2020 to win the SmackDown Women's title. Sasha is possibly the best female wrestler in the world right now, and just became 30 years old. We would be worried if Sasha doesn't reach double-figure title reigns during her WWE career. In first place is Charlotte Flair. You probably did not need to watch this video to figure that out. However, Charlotte is a 6-time Raw Women's Champion, 6-time SmackDown Women's Champion, 2-time NXT Champion and 1-time Divas Champion. Charlotte Flair is currently a 15-time Women's Champion in WWE. Since there are several title reigns to get through here, let's go through this as quick as possible. Charlotte's first title was the NXT Championship, which she won in spring 2014 after beating Natalya. Charlotte's second title reign was the Divas title. She defeated Nikki Bella, and was the last person to hold the butterfly belt. Charlotte became the first Raw Women's Champion, defeating Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 32. Charlotte defeated Sasha Banks 3 more times to win the Raw title in 2016 at SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell in Sasha's hometown, and at Roadblock. Charlotte's first SmackDown Women's title win occurred in November 2017 in a match with Natalya on SmackDown. After being cashed in on months previous, Charlotte regained the title from Carmella at SummerSlam 2018. Charlotte defeated Asuka on SmackDown in March 2019 to win back the SmackDown title. Charlotte's next SmackDown title reign lasted minutes, as she was cashed in on by Bayley after beating Becky Lynch for the title. Charlotte got her revenge by beating Bayley at the 2019 Hell in a Cell event to win back the title. Charlotte's next title win would be the Raw title, as she beat Rhea Ripley at Money in the Bank 2021. After soon losing the title, Charlotte regained the title from Nikki Cross at SummerSlam 2021. Then Charlotte's current SmackDown title reign started after she traded titles with Becky in October 2021. If you add Charlotte's 2 tag title reigns, she has won a title 17 times in WWE. It's clear WWE's goal has been to get Charlotte to match her dad's record of 16 reigns, which has led to quantity over quality title reigns for Charlotte. And that's our list. Let us know in the comments below if there's anything that shocked you about this list, and who you feel deserves more title reigns and who deserves less. If you have any video suggestions, post it in the comments below or tweet us. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.